think this is a very crucial one. And therefore, I have also some question marks on the different technologies that are out there. So there, one needs to be open and see what can really fly. In particular, in the information sharing, because blockchain will fix information at the beginning, then it travels as it is through the process. But this information in partnership in B2B is continuously living. You have to add on, you share experiences. What I did yesterday, I found out now it's that. And that's how you need to be able to update and correct. So there you have probably other technologies interlinked that are different, serving different purposes and able to fulfill other purposes and objectives that we have. So I think this building in the certain flexibility in the legislation at this stage that different technologies can find their way is, I think, something that at this stage is important. While also having the reality in mind that the business need the data trust and the protection of their know-how as well.
I mean, I can only agree with that. I mean, our approach in the sense of the legislation is technology neutral. So in both the fintech area where I have an expert group and in this blockchain observatory and forum, the idea is to remove barriers to decentralized technologies. So this is not just blockchain, it's also artificial intelligence and big data, while implementing the general data protection and regulation and the cybersecurity. And you are always going to have, for any sensible blockchain application, a big interaction with the cloud, because neither financially nor in the sense of implementing the data protection regulation is it useful to keep data on the blockchain. And so tools like dynamic consent and smart contracts using the blockchain and tools like the cloud will allow us to reach these kinds of goals. But again, it needs to be designed in. This is where we definitely have had a bit of a hype cycle. Put it on the blockchain and it's solved. No, it doesn't solve anything. You have to design the process in, and the process might change the way it did with electrification in our economies. So, I mean, I can only fully agree.
And also, digitization, digital world is exponential. A regulatory one is not. So it's always behind globally, not just in the EU. So you have to be neutral.
I had one last thought on the incentives for the SMEs. Thinking about this Dutch awareness case, is one of the things was they did get government involved as one of the partners involved in this forum, and the Dutch government in particular was very clear that they will push this from a public procurement point of view. So the guy in charge of public procurement for the whole of the Netherlands said, in 5 years' time, you will be required, or you will be given strong preference if your products are circular. So he's giving advance notice, and suddenly this becomes then very interesting for the producers, including the small ones, because they won't get the contracts if they don't change.
So a similar movement in Belgium. All the public authorities are now buying circular. Okay, any other thoughts on policy framework, or are there needs in terms of innovation policy, Horizon 2020, funding, which might help either moving forward the circular economy or digitization, and especially the two together? Is that something, for example, that you have started this new business now? What could help you grow, scale up? Is it just you and working hard, or could any of the policy people do something for you?
We have a big day coming up, beginning of May, with the new budget of the Commission here in MF. If you have digital tools to be tapped, you need the underlying infrastructure to be there. So there is no 5G rolled out widely, or other communication technologies, then difficult.
Yeah.
So infrastructure rollout is, I think, a starting point if you want to get things practically done on the ground.
To answer your question, from a very small startup, seeking funds is a whole different business on its own. Filling out the application and it won't happen.
Yeah.
So if you should do anything, is set up an office that will help you do it, or do it for you, from a local or EU point of view, outside. If I can go to this place and say, "Oh, I like to fill in that application. Can you help me? Can you do it for me?" That would be great. Because we have no time for this. We need to go and find clients, and not funding like this.
One comment. My name is Guillaume. I work for UL, so it's Underwriters Laboratories, right? Testing, inspection, certification. There are things we do as part of the software businesses, helping companies as well, addressing their circularity needs, how to get data, especially with software, and what type of materials and chemicals they have in the products that they are going to put in production afterwards. But there's also another element that actually ties up to what you just said. It's about procurement. When there will be an uptake, for validating these kind of claims, you need to be able to show how your products or what you actually do is circular, and this is also something that digital can enable. Having tools at your disposal to help companies actually measure their circularity, whether it's waste diversion, types of recycled content they have in the product. So there are also some kind of B2B partnerships that can be done, not only in helping companies getting to the circular, but how to get this recognized for them.
Documentation.
Okay.
Yes, public procurement. I mean, it's very important leverage, of course, in these areas where also there are a lot of public authorities involved. We saw, I mean, we have that already in some areas, and we see, again, going to the construction sector, we see really the public procurement as a strong push to move into the digitalization of a sector that is going beyond. And yes, we have all the fast from the beam. It's very specific to that sector, but it is triggered by the reference into the public procurement to the possibility of submitting all this procurement in electronic forms. So it definitely it's very important, and we know, of course, in DG Grow we have all the activities around the smart procurement processes that goes indeed in the way of supporting the public authorities to valorize, to not looking only at the costs, but also looking at all the different features, being green, being digital, being sustainable, being socially fair. Of course, it's a lot of elements, and somehow, somewhere into the local, they will also need to make trade-off. I mean, we will not be green, social, digital, and at the same time. So I think it's where we need really to be realistic, let's say, in terms of what the possibility of that evolution. But we're certainly supporting the authorities and putting in place a number of activities in terms of training, in terms of multipliers of good examples, sharing of experiences, again, etc., to support the procurers to go in this direction. So, in addition, of course, with the GPP, so the green public procurement, which remains voluntary, but of course there as a reminder or as a very good support also for the authorities going in this direction. So we're technologically neutral, of course, from this point of view, but the signal is very clear. Politically speaking, I think that's very clear.
I can just supplement this by saying that we're working with the colleagues in DG Grow who are going to issue a set of guidelines on public procurement of innovation in July, and it's a little bit in line with the comments of this other thing that we worked with earlier. It's setting out, we as the public sector have such and such a need. Can you develop something that meets that need, other than saying, well, we need this Microsoft software, it's on the market and we want it cheaper? But we're actually saying that we need something that does this. And in order to walk the talk ourselves in this European public blockchain initiative, we're also looking at possibly procuring blockchain applications that would be GDPR compliant, etc., asking the market to provide something that is probably not really there at the moment.
Also, just to mention that circular content management system, probably it's a good idea not to reinvent the wheel, so they've spent now better part of